Yeah, just a quick review of the Copper Fit Mobilizer hand compression gloves. So there's a lot of people that are using these for hand arthritis, which is a good idea because there's two main ways that these gloves will help you with your symptoms of hand arthritis. The first thing is they provide compression. So compression helps decrease swelling that any swelling you might have in the joint in the hand. So you put these things on, and then they kind of squeeze on your hands, kind of drives that fluid out. And as you get rid of that fluid, the swelling, you're able to move your fingers and joints better, which usually means less pain. The other way these things work specifically to help with arthritis symptoms is they provide warmth. So we all know that heat helps arthritic symptoms. So you put these on, your hands get a little warmer, they heat up a little bit, circulation increases, and everything's a little more flexible and just moving better. And heat helps pain too. A few points about these particular gloves. They do have an open finger design, which I really like. So say for instance, you have trouble sewing or knitting, but maybe you can't do it or you just can't do it for very long. If you put these gloves on, you get some pain relief and you're still able to do those kind of fine motor coordination activities because they have the open finger design. And you can use your the phone too. You don't have to worry about touch screens. The other thing I like about these is they do have this silicone grip on it, which is really good. A lot of times when people do have like hand pain or they have hand arthritis, they have a weak grip and they're not able to hold things as much. So if you have increased friction in your palm of your hand, and in the fingers, then you won't have to grip it as tightly to hold it in your hand because the friction is kind of keeping it in place due to those little, I think it's, little silicone strips there. So that's really a big plus. So permanent, temporary relief, how does this stuff work? Well, you put the gloves on, then after about 30 to 60 minutes, any swelling you might have kind of goes out, and your hands heat up, and you're just moving a lot better and feeling better. But if you take the gloves off after about 30 to 60 minutes, swelling can come back and your hands aren't as heated up as they were with the glove on, so you're kind of back where you started. But actually I think there's a way to use these particular gloves to get long-term permanent pain relief, or at least get your symptoms down to a very manageable state. So we all know that exercise helps arthritis. Okay, that's kind of proven in the literature. Hand exercises, you get your hands stronger, you get them more flexible, you're going to have less pain from arthritis. Okay, and you're going to be your hands just going to be working better. But you can't do any exercises now. So what you do is you put on the gloves. After about 30-60 minutes, get some of the swelling out if you have any. Hands heat up, moving better. Now you can do some hand exercises. And then week by week, as your hands get stronger and more flexible, you get that long-term carryover. So for instance, this book, Treat Your Own Hand and Thumb Osteoarthritis, you could start off with something like range of motion exercises. So if you go to hand therapy or occupational therapy, they always have you do a range of motion exercises. And why is that? Well, the fingers in your, the joints in your fingers are synovial joints. And one characteristic of synovial joints is there's synovial fluid in the joint. One of the jobs of the synovial fluid is to get nutrition to the articular cartilage. And when you have arthritis, you have problems with the articular cartilage. So if you're not moving your fingers as much, and also I need to tell you that the synovial fluid gets spread around the whole joint through motion. So if you're not moving your fingers as much or as often, you might not be getting that synovial fluid spread around like it's supposed to. And so the articular cartilage can suffer. So you do hand range of motion exercises. You get that synovial fluid spread around, your articular cartilage is just doing a whole lot better. Other things, strengthening exercises, there's lots of different ones, but you don't need to spend all day doing hand exercises strengthening. Basically, you're talking like 2, maybe 3 times a week, just a few minutes. This book advocates using a light dumbbell, like say 2 pounds, using, strengthening your fingers and your pinch grip and everything. And then the good thing about a light dumbbell is once you can do the exercises okay with a 2 pound, you move up to a 3 pound, and you can keep moving on up because you need that progressive resistance really to get stronger. It's the only way. Some people have base of the thumb arthritis too. Also called carpometacarpal joint arthritis or CMC joint arthritis. So you're thinking, well, is there anything I can do about that? Well, yeah, actually, there's a muscle called your abductor pollicis longus. You can see where that sucker inserts right at the base of your thumb where all the problems are at. If you strengthen that muscle, and this book has an exercise you can do with a rubber band for progressive resistance, week by week as your abductor pollicis longus gets stronger, you're going to get more control over that joint as you're using it, and you're going to get more joint stability, and that all equals less pain. So yeah, lots of things you can do, but hey, you can't do them now. Get the gloves. As you get stronger week by week and more flexible, that's where you get that long-term carryover. So yeah, good pair of gloves. Check them out.